Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Arts and Farts, episode 3. So today we're going to be drawing this lady with a really cool coat with the fur thing on it. I picked this one because I wanted to do a figure with some clothing, and I like this image because it's got some really nice, like, simple shapes and lines and stuff like that. The anatomy isn't too complex. I'm mostly going to be focusing on like the shapes of the jacket and stuff. That's why I like this reference image. Because it's pretty straightforward, but good practice for drawing different types of clothing. I love drawing big jackets. It's super, super fun. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today. And I'm going to be using a couple different kinds of pencils, doing a little bit different style today. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a rough sketch, which for me is kind of weird. Normally I'm like the straight to line work type of guy. But when I'm practicing, I like to do different things. So I'm using a big Dixon carpenter pencil to start out here. Just going for like the real like major shapes that stand out to me. Obviously, the collar is the shape that stands out to me the most. So that's where I'm gonna start. And then from there, you can kind of like just position things based off of that, because everything kind of moves off of this collar. At least when I'm looking at it, like that's the way I'm thinking about it. I always really like drawing clothing, especially from photo reference, because I find that when I'm like designing clothing from comics and stuff like that, I like to pull from real world stuff. You know, not like, you know, especially since the comic I'm working on right now is like futuristic and stuff. You know, I want the clothing to be realistic, but like kind of fantastic at the same time. Kind of. So I base a lot of it off of like real stuff, because I think that makes it more believable that way. And I think it's almost as important to practice drawing clothing as it is to practice drawing like the figure itself. Because the thing about clothing is that like the human body, while we all look different, you know, and our bodies are different, like they all follow a lot of the same rules as far as like, you know, what goes where and proportions and stuff like that. So drawing clothing is a little bit different though, because all types of clothing are different and like sit on the body in different ways, and you know, people wear different things. There's obviously millions upon millions of different choices for clothing and stuff like that. And practicing from real world you know, items of clothing and stuff like that is the best way to learn, and the best way to learn to design stuff that doesn't exist was by looking at what already does exist. When I was taking figure drawing classes, obviously the main focus most of the time would be drawing, you know, the nude figure, because the point is to learn, you know, the anatomy and stuff like that. But there are also days where the models would be clothed, because it's almost as important with illustration to know how to draw clothing and understand how clothing interacts with the figure. Because, you know, even two different people with, you know, different body types can wear the same item of clothing even, and it'll look different between those two people. Like that's how many variables there are with clothing. It's like kind of just an absolutely like endless combination of things. So the more you build your like mental vocabulary of clothing, the easier it's going to be for you not only to just draw clothing, but to like come up with your own designs for like your characters or whatever. I always spend a lot of time designing clothes for like my original characters and stuff like that, because, you know, each person wears different things and has a different, you know, taste and style with the things that they wear. So it's really important to practice a lot of different stuff. And the internet is like the best resource ever for learning how to draw clothing, because there's so many clothing companies and, you know, models and advertisements and stuff. It's like, it's just everywhere. So it's really easy to, you know, go online. You want to learn how to draw a certain type of jacket, just look it up and start practicing. I think it's really, really cool. But yeah, more talk about like the actual drawing process. So while I'm roughing out here, I'm just looking at like the major shapes, you know, kind of like, you know, not worrying about detail at all, kind of just making like a roadmap for my to follow once I start like doing some actual line work and stuff. And I like using big pencils like this because you kind of are forced to not use a bunch of detail, because it's like a larger drawing utensil, so you really can't get into small areas all that much to do a ton of detail, which detail is good, but like if you're just practicing and learning, quickly, like I always recommend not to spend a lot of time on the detail if you're just practicing, but just go for the big shapes, especially if you're learning how to draw clothing or figures or anything like that. Like the details can always be added in later, but like the best thing to establish is the bigger picture of the drawing and where you're going with it. And with stuff like this, like the reason I like this image so much is you really don't have to worry about the anatomy or the proportions all that much. Like I mentioned, it's just really, really simple. And like you've got one arm to draw here. It's easy angles. It's, the hand's in the pocket, so you don't have to draw that. And the other hand is holding a coffee cup, but coffee cup is in the way of most of the hands, so you can kind of just, like what I would do, or what I'm going to do right now, is just draw the cup, where it's supposed to be. And then you can kind of just like fudge the hand. Like you really don't have to do all that much, just like that. And you're like, oh yeah, it's a hand holding a coffee cup. Like I get it. And that's all you really have to do, because we're not practicing hands here. If you want to practice hands, go ahead and practice hands. But I'm more worried about like the clothing and stuff. So that's obviously what I'm focusing on. So there's lots of cool shapes and textures and lines. Like I like the line that comes up from the pocket, and how it's got the like seams here. I really like all the details on this jacket. You could really have some fun spending some time getting into all the details if you'd like, because like you got the fur and stuff that's going to be fun to draw. I'm using this big pencil just to do like a quick texture, like really, really rough to kind of like simulate the fur. So you can tell that it's a different texture from the rest of the jacket, because that's a big deal with clothing too. Is if you're designing stuff from your head, like you want to think about what materials it's made out of, and how that's going to affect how you're going to draw it. Like denim and cotton look different. You can kind of make the things like that look the same, but like the difference between like, I don't know, it's probably like nylon, some sort of, neoprene something, and then the fur, it's like there's quite the contrast there, so you can get some really cool contrast and textures. And I really like blocking in shadow areas really quickly with these big pencils. And they're really affordable too. They're really not that expensive. You can even go to like Walmart or like Home Depot, and they have carpenter pencils like this. They may not have the Dixon ones, but like I've used the Stanley ones. Those ones are good. So if you're interested in trying one of these, I definitely recommend it, especially for sketching. It's just absolutely fantastic, and I'm just like, for the shorts here, it's black anyway, so you can just do that really quick. And the bag too, why not? Because I'm not going to be doing any large amount of shading or anything like that, like detail wise. I'm just going for the shapes here. And next thing I'm going to do is pull out my mechanical pencil, which I'll show you in just a second. And I'm just going to do some quick line work to kind of just, bring this whole thing together, because it's like really, pretty rough right now. I mean, you can tell what's going on, but here we go. So I've got the Tombow Zoom mechanical pencil, 0.9 millimeter. It's like one of my favorite pencils right now. It's just got a great weight to it. I'll write down the materials I use in the description and everything, so if you guys are interested in checking them out for yourself, then you can do that. And also, with this show, if you draw along with me, which would be really cool, it's good practice, and I sure enjoy when people participate. If you do and you'd like to post your work, I got the hashtag here, ARTSANDFARTS, whether you're on Twitter or Tumblr or Instagram or all of them, doesn't matter. Post your stuff up there. I'm checking everything out and like reposting it whenever I see it. So it's really awesome to see you guys, your work too, and like how people do things differently. Because one of the points of the last episode when we were drawing the door was I was interested in like where people would start with their drawings. And a lot of people said that they started with like a general outline of the door, stuff like that. So it's really cool to see, how people do things differently, because everyone's different. Everybody's got a different style. So, when I'm doing the show, I recommend not to just copy me like the way I do things. But I mean, you can if you want to. It's a good way to learn as well. But if you really want to learn and practice for yourself, like I'd recommend just doing it your own way. And I definitely like to see what what you come up with. You know, because I love you guys, and you know, I do this kind of thing because I enjoy it. I'm very passionate about it, but I also do it because, you know, I wanna spread the idea of, you know, just seeing more art in the world. And even if you don't consider yourself an artist, like that doesn't mean you can't draw. Just, you know, pull out some pencils and start practicing. Have fun, you know. There's no pressure when you're drawing to like make something good. Just enjoy it. That's the most important thing. Don't worry about it being good. Just have fun. Just draw cool jackets. Cute girls wearing big jackets. It's a few of my favorite things. I really like drawing fur. Just make it like really, really rough. You know, even quickly. Just having that little bit of like rough texture underneath. Like I barely have to do any sort of line work, and like the texture's there. I think it's really, really fun. And experimenting with a lot. I've been experimenting a lot more with like texture and stuff, you know, over the last like year or so, you know, because I found at certain points like my work feels like very flat, you know, lacking texture. Everything just looks kind of like smooth and samey. So I've been trying to do that a lot more, especially practicing textures in like environments and stuff. And, you know, the same things apply to clothing. Let's see, let's do this really quick because I forgot that part. Bam, just like that. Quick and easy. I like it. But it's nice. It's nice to see you guys enjoying the show and drawing along. I'm just really, really, really happy about it in general. And getting it a day early today. Yeah, it's not Saturday, because Saturday is going to be the normal day. But I'm going to be out of town this weekend, so I figured I might as well just post it early and have an early episode this week. Why not? And pretty soon I'm going to be considering, you know, maybe doing one extra episode a week. It's kind of going to depend on how things go forward, like with my comic and stuff. But I'd certainly like to do that. It's certainly doable. I just got to figure out a schedule and stuff. So, because I think having one on the weekend and like one midweek would be pretty good. And if you guys are into that, let me know, because I'm definitely down. And the more you guys say that you want it, the more inclined I'm going to be to do it. So. Yeah, you can just think about it that way. But yeah. Hope you're all doing good, and you know, everything's going well for you. If it's not, I hope it gets better real soon. Yeah. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're having fun. If you're drawing along with me, or you're just watching me draw, I really enjoy this kind of stuff, and I hope you guys do too. So. Here we go. I'm pretty much getting to the end here of like how much detail I want to do. I didn't want to do a whole bunch of detail or anything like that. You know, basic shapes are what I'm thinking about here. And if you're practicing clothing and you're relatively new to it and you find it like frustrating or something, I think it's easiest to focus on the big shapes, because if you get caught up in like all the little wrinkles and the details first, like before you've got like, you know, everything like the larger shapes blocked out, it can be really frustrating, because like the most difficult part of clothing is adding all those tiny little details, you know, the seams and the wrinkles and all that. And that stuff will come with time. But I think if you're just starting out, if you're just learning these kinds of things and like just starting to practice, don't put too much pressure on yourself. You know, don't try to start from the top. Start from where you're at and work your way up. That's the best way to do it. That's how I learned, you know. And in figure drawing especially, like that's what pretty much any figure drawing teacher will tell you, is to focus on the large shapes first. Don't get caught up in the detail, you know, because I could have very easily like started with the seams here and got really caught up and spent a lot of time just in this little area. And you know, in the time I spent drawing this, about, you know, 14 minutes or whatever, like I probably could have spent that amount of time just in a tiny area, or like just doing details on like the fur or the face or something like that. And when I'm drawing clothing, another thing to think about that I didn't mention that I really should have, is to keep the like the facial details and stuff kind of rough. That's how I like to do it, because I'm focusing more on the clothing, and like it's really easy, like I've been saying, it's really easy to get lost in like the small details when you're trying to practice something a little bit larger. So focus on the larger shapes and you know, just build on top of your drawing from there. just find a good starting point for you. You know, like this line right here where the zipper is, that's a really good starting point. Or like I started with the collar, that's a really good starting point. You could start pretty much anywhere. I mean, you could even start with the head and kind of just build it off of there. But there's my drawing. If you guys drew along with me, definitely love to see it. So share it on social media with the hashtag so I can see it. If I do see it, I'll repost it if I'm able to. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Arts and Farts, episode 3. More episodes coming soon, for sure. So thanks for watching, everyone. I super appreciate it. You know I love each and every one of you, and I will see you next time. Bye.